Hello, welcome to the Holistic Healer Podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things holistic. I am your host, Cheryl Lee. Today's guest, Barbero. He is a Chek certified holistic health practitioner and an entrepreneur in the holistic space. Today we are going to discuss detoxification and entrepreneurship as a part of holistic health. We also go into other things such as discipline, patience, and so much more. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Holistic Healer Podcast. I am your host, Cheryl Lee, and today's guest is Barbero. He is a Chek certified holistic health practitioner, and you are an entrepreneur in the holistic space. So I'm super excited to have you here. I think today we're going to talk about detoxification for today's times and also entrepreneurship as part of holistic health and how that kind of all ties in. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for the welcome. Great to be here.
I know. I'm super excited. Yeah. So for those of my audience members who don't know who you are, it would be amazing if you kind of just gave us a little backstory about your history and how you got into the holistic health space and what maybe led you into Paul Chek's classroom, because a lot of people are aware of Paul Chek. Yeah.
Well, to make it really quick and simple and not bore people too much, I grew up having an interest in health and fitness and sports, and I played football through high school.
Mm-hmm.
And right at the end of high school, I really started to focus more on health and like more nutrition and more exercise, like with an actual schedule and a routine and stuff. And I did that for like 4 years. And then I finally got kind of bored of lifting weights. And I was working out more like a meathead, more of a typical fitness person back then,
Mm-hmm.
bodybuilder type. But I wasn't like a bodybuilder. I was like I am now, pretty functionally fit. And then I took a break from the gym and I was like, okay, I'm going to try yoga at this instead of the gym. So I went and got a yoga membership. I remember at the time I had just gotten fired and I paid like $500 for an unlimited yoga pass. And it was like kind of like I was tripping about the investment, but it was like one of the best investments I ever did. Yeah. And so I did that pass and there was a teacher there. I was doing 2 and 3 days for the year of hot yoga, vinyasa, Bikram style, different ones. And there was a teacher there that just had a bunch of different cool yoga moves and different exercises. And he said he was a trainer too. And I was like, okay, great. And he knew like all this different random stuff about nutrition. And it was different than the stuff I had thought that I knew that was great from college and, typical nutrition magazines and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, how do you know this stuff? Like, where'd you learn this stuff? He's like 8 years older than me. And he said, oh, the Chek Institute. And he had a little lanyard on his keys. And he said, the Chek Institute. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go look that up tonight. He's like, yeah, just check out Paul Chek. This was in 2009. So YouTube was still there. It just wasn't all this stuff was not as popular. So I was watching this guy, this buff bald dude talk on stage, like just saying all this shit. I was like, whoa, like I never even heard about a lot of this stuff. So I bought his book and I was reading that as I was doing like a couple courses for like chemistry to go get this nutrition degree from university. Right. I was reading his book instead, Metabolic Typing Diet. And I went from one to the next. I was like, okay, well, I got to quit college. So I quit college. Immediately enrolled into the Chek Institute, started doing the prereqs. This was right after I finished my NASM certification. It's like a common certification to train people in gyms. And then I started doing the Chek prereqs, and the Chek prereqs were like so much better than the NASM certification. I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. And then I finally went to the first course. That was with JP Sears in San Francisco in 2010. I was still teaching back then for Paul. And I did that course. That's HLC1. It was great. And I learned some stuff for there, but it was kind of similar to the stuff I already studied because I went like off the deep end studying all this stuff and all the, Paul's books, a lot of HLC1. And then I did HLC2 the next year with exercise coach. Actually, right after HLC1, I did exercise coach, then HLC2 with Paul. So I had 2 classes with Paul in December of 2011 and September of 2012. Troy was with me in both of those. And those were like life-changing to like be there with somebody like that powerful.
Sure.
So knowledgeable. And, I was thinking about it too. Like he's probably the most well-balanced and totally holistic, one of the most totally holistic teachers that exists that we know.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
Because when you look at a lot of other people, they're really good at what they're good at. They have certain things and then they don't know shit about something else, or they don't really care about the other thing, or they're still caught in the drama of mainstream education in one thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But Paul Chek has it all, every category, financial, everything. So like, I was just like blown away. I was like, wow. So that's how I got into that. And then I started training for a while and did that Chek way, did nutrition consulting, took some jobs here and there, checked out of training, checked out of society and work for a while, got involved in the network marketing business with Troy, with the organic superfoods, put a lot of my Chek training to use with that. Not that you need it.
Yep.
And then that's a lot of my business now, working with different entrepreneurs. And then also working with myself. The entrepreneurship journey is a holistic health journey in its own right. And
For
there's a lot
sure.
of psychology, a lot of spiritual growth, a lot of everything, organization, mental, and that's what I started doing. So I don't do as much of the coaching anymore. I can, but I save that for those that are really determined and willing to pay for it and actually put in the work. So I'm not training, I'm not taking on like a rent a friend.
Yeah.
What a lot of clients are now for trainers or rent a friends.
Sure.
I'll Chek first said that one years ago. I was like, that's funny.
It is funny.
So I don't really care for that. It's kind of like a drag.
Yep.
And always checking in to make sure, like, because especially when I take money, when I'm taking money from somebody, I want to make sure they're getting value for what they're getting.
Yeah, you want to make sure they're getting, there's a good exchange there. Money for whatever you're giving them.
If I'm their coach or their trainer and they're not really doing what I'm saying, it makes me look bad, one. And it also makes you feel bad. So like, wow, I'm getting paid and they're not doing, I'm not helping them. And I feel the same now, even with the superfood stuff. So, but it's just not as big of a scale. It's not as much. They're not paying as much. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
Right.
Somebody can just buy a product and disappear. That happens everywhere. That's what people are doing on the internet all day long, buying something and disappearing from it, throwing it in their closet. Or it's a cool little like paperweight or decoration on the counter, you know what I mean, or desk. So yeah, that's pretty much my quick story about getting involved with the holistic health. I learned everything new. I thought I knew a bunch of stuff about fitness and health, and I realized I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
And,
so that really was, it was like a defining, like meeting Paul Chek, going through that program, that was like changed the trajectory of your entire life really at that time.
I mean, and really the first step was the yoga thing. It was the getting bored in the gym. It was getting the board in the gym. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go try the yoga studio.
Yeah.
Hot yoga. I just thought it would be cool to like stretch and sweat.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how I came across the Chek Institute. And this was before I want to say that again. This was in 2009. Think about how much more popular that training is now.
Yeah. Back then it wasn't so much.
Last year you said that back then you said holistic health to someone and they were like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. What does the word holistic mean? Yeah.
And then you just explain it and they're like, that stuff doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And now a lot of it's kind of being mainstream. I mean, it's weaponized, but more mainstream.
Well, I feel like also too, like the word holistic, it's like, you're like how you talked about Paul. I mean, there's a lot of people who have a niche in certain areas. So they're, absolute geniuses in the area of diet, for example, or exercise or psychology or meditation, whatever it happens to be, but they're lacking in other areas. They've got heart issues or something because their diet's off point, or they're overweight because they don't exercise, but their spirituality is on point. So holistic is really like blending all of those aspects to make a whole, right? So that we're firing, all cylinders are firing in all areas of, I guess, what it means to have like the full spectrum of health, really.
Yeah, it's called being well integrated too.
Yeah, integrate. And then to integrate all of them for sure.
Yeah.
So like, I guess, like the financial side of things, I think that's an area where a lot of people are lacking. So they may have their diet on point. It's working for them. They've got a great exercise program, but I know a lot of people, they don't include their financial, how they're doing financially within that spectrum and integrate that into their life as part of being holistic. So in your view, how do you see that kind of being part of that whole?
Yeah, well, I mean, I struggled with this too for years. I struggled to earn money, knowing all this stuff. And that's actually a common problem with people in the space.
Sure, yeah.
In general, especially in coaching now. We'll get into that later, but coaching and holistic health is not the same thing. And also, there's, it finally got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm not really that effective if I can't really take care of myself and my needs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what's the point of all this? Like, you see a lot of these spiritual people and these they're gurus in some area, and they're like, oh, the money doesn't matter. Like, I'm not doing it for money.
Right.
Like, they're not really like living, or they can't really fully be as present because there's something that requires money in their life that's lacking.
Right.
Right? Because the money is just all about what you use it for. It doesn't really matter the actual, like, yeah, there's a lot of corruption with money, but it's all about how are you getting it and how are you using it.
Right.
And if you have some type of poverty consciousness around that, and you're in the field of holistic health, you can't really be fully holistic because money is part of the holistic health.
That's so true.
Right? And it might not even be just the dollar specifically, but the currency exchange, the reciprocity exchange of what money is a part of holistic health.
Totally.
So did that answer that question pretty well?
Yeah, that absolutely answered that question. Because like I said, I think there's a lot of, when we think about holistic, we normally don't tie in the financial side. Most people don't. You don't even think about that.
And in fact, most of the time, a lot of holistic people say the financial side doesn't even matter.
Right. Yeah.
They say so the money's evil. Just keep being holistic. You'll have it all. You know what
so
I mean?
there's a level of detachment from that side of the coin, I think. But, to buy good food, to be able to afford the food that it takes to be holistic, or to have the lifestyle, because being holistic, it doesn't have to be expensive, but it's definitely more expensive than just living like someone who's on the standard American diet, because good organic food costs more money, right? So
in the short term, yes.
Yeah.
Upfront.
Yeah. So for you, being an entrepreneur in the holistic space, like, how did you come to the realization that that's how you wanted to, make your financial money through being holistic, rather than going to like a 9-to-5 job and just making money that way?
Yeah. So I had to do some trial and error with that, because when I first did the Chek Institute and started training, I was like, yeah, this is cool, but it's actually not that cool. So I went back to like different jobs, what I mean?
Like working for somebody?
Yeah. I took a couple like security job. I worked at a gym for a little bit. I did a couple different jobs. And of course I like bought and sold electronics and did stuff on the side too. And I was just like, you know what? This stuff doesn't really feel that great.
Right.
But what did feel great was like helping the people like with gains, fixing their posture, fixing different things with their body, help cleaning out their gut, etc. That stuff felt good. And getting paid for that was awesome. Like, there was a big difference between getting like $1,000 from a client that's signing up for a pack, right? Like, that money felt so much better to receive than just getting like a 2-week paycheck for $800 at a job that I didn't give a shit about. You know what I mean? Even though it's like the same amount of money, it just felt way different. And that's what I was like, okay, I need to find a way to keep doing this, and also be able to leverage stuff where I'm not training in a gym all day long. You know what I mean? Where I'm not doing all the work myself.
Right.
Because that's what you are doing if you're a solo holistic practitioner of any kind.
Right.
Like, you are everything.
Yeah.
Unless you have a team, you're everything.
Right.
And you're also the laborer too. Like, a trainer is a big laborer. You got to go there. You got to do all the training. If they need any type of palpating or soft tissue tweaks, you got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to write the program. You got to promote yourself. You got to sell the package and the service. And then you have to actually service the package that you sold.
Right.
This is if you're a self-employed entrepreneur type. That's a lot of work. And that's why people get burned out. That's why most people that I know from the Chek Institute, a lot of them don't do any type of training anymore. They're pharmaceutical reps or doing some other job with sales, because they can make good money doing that. And they don't have to do everything else that's required to actually survive in entrepreneurship. And these are smart people holistically.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it comes down to how holistic are you really? Where did you go work for after you trained here?
True.
Think about that one.
Yeah. So in light of what we've recently come out of over the last few years, how important do you feel it is to and the direction kind of we're headed potentially? How important, in your opinion, is it to actually have kind of sovereignty in the financial space through something like holistic health?
Well, it's super important, because you're not really, there's a big movement of sovereignty and freedom and all this stuff. But like we just said, like, that sovereignty comes down to being holistic as well. Because without being holistic, you're not really integrated.
Right.
And without being fully integrated, you can't really fully participate and get those results that you really want or be sovereign, because then you're always relying on someone or something else no matter what. And I
Right.
guess in a way we kind of are anyways, technically, because everything is kind of, working together in a
Right.
sense. But there's a big difference with actually owning a business of your own, especially if it's a leveraged one, and also taking care of your body and doing everything else than just checking in to where you're kind of getting paid no matter what, just for showing up, what's called a job.
Mm-hmm.
And also just doing something where you're only getting paid for your own labor. That's it. That's another job. That could be an entrepreneurship thing too, but you're only paid on your own labor. You can only get
Right.
labor so much. I know people that are in their 50s and 40s, and I'm like, dude, do you really want to do massage work forever at a table and
Yeah.
only get paid by the hour? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
for
do you really
sure.
want to train and hold someone's hand in a gym forever? I mean, I get that's, it's cool. It is rewarding and it's socializing, etc. But that maxes out really quick.
Yeah.
How much can you
And
really do with that?
yeah, and I also think that there's probably very few. I mean, I'm sure there are some who are actually working for somebody else who clocks in and clocks out, who maybe are really fulfilled in their job. But I think for most people who are going to work every day and working for somebody else, I think we all would rather, if we had a choice, we would rather be independent and sovereign in our ability to create financial wellness, if that makes
Well, yeah,
sense.
because you have the choice to earn as much or as little as you really want to,
Right.
right? Like everybody's goals are the same. That's what's cool
Hmm.
about the entrepreneurship journey. Somebody might be okay earning $1,000 a month.
Right.
That's fine. And then if
Yeah.
they live life outside of that, and a thousand
Hmm.
bucks is enough for them, great,
Hmm.
right? If they're earning 4 grand on a job they hate to go to and they don't feel fulfilled, and plus, what's the job they're actually doing in the big picture of things? Is it actually making the
Right.
world a better place? Most of the
Yeah.
time, it's not. Right. So
Yeah.
that hits you internally as well,
For
whether you
sure.
know it or not.
Hmm.
Your service
Well,
is
you're
doing
putting your time and
on a
your
larger scale.
energy, your kind of, your, how to say, it's sacred, your sacred energy into somebody else rather than putting it into yourself to create that for yourself. I mean, whenever we go to work, of course, there's an exchange there and we're getting something in return for our service. But at the same time, I think if one had the choice, it would be great. And it's available, right? I mean, it's available to be able to actually be sovereign, have financial freedom and stability in the holistic space. However, I mean, there's different avenues to go about doing that, but it's
Yeah, and
definitely available.
sovereign means that you're basically your own king.
Yeah,
So
you're
you decide
exactly.
when you're leaving, what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. And
Well,
yeah,
and
if you're doing that
it's
in a
freedom,
way,
right? It's
yeah,
freedom.
if you're doing that in the way that's actually contributing good to
Hmm.
the world and to other people,
Hmm.
you're gonna feel a lot better in every other way of your life too.
For
So, for
sure.
an example, me putting somebody on a program to get them healthier, they feel good.
Hmm.
They can also impact the world better. But I also feel great because sure, I sold the person some product or I did something, right? Like I
Right.
got some money from them somehow, or they signed up for a coaching service, but I got that person healthier, or I helped that person earn some money through the
Yeah.
entrepreneurship opportunity with me. And that feels way better. And that has a way better of a result than me going and selling some poisonous product or checking in for a service that's poisoning people and keeping them
Yeah.
ill, or me like trading on my laptop and winning a trade, but knowing that
Hmm.
people are, gambling their life savings and losing that trade in order for me to win.
Yeah.
So think about all these different things of how you can earn money. They're
Hmm.
actually a drain as you're pulling that money in.
Right. And I also feel like if in any way you consider yourself to be holistic, but you're not integrating all aspects of maybe the holistic wheel, if we call it that, I feel like as you become more holistic through like diet, nutrition, sleep, meditation, spirituality, all of these things, you are not as numbed out. There's more awareness that comes into the body. So I think that there's more awareness of that financial side of things as well to make that whole and to integrate it. I just think that for a lot of people, they don't know what to do. It's kind of like, well, I've been going to this 9 to 5 job for 30, 35 years. Like, what am I supposed to do? And they don't even know how to create that in their life, which can be kind of frustrating as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then Did you want to talk about any of the detox stuff?
I do. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would like to get in.
we cover this really quick, and then we'll go into more of the entrepreneurship stuff.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about detoxification in this day and age and how it's so incredibly important. And we're kind of living in the most toxic era of we ever have. So, what are your thoughts on detoxification? Because I always, in fact, I probably think on mostly all of my podcasts, I've said to almost all my guests, how do you feel the notion that detoxification is actually more important than nutrition?
Well, it is. I mean, when
Yeah.
detoxification is nutrition, they're
Hmm.
synonymous with each other. You can't do
Yeah.
one without the other. And yeah, it's an interesting topic because detox, that word is kind of faddish at this point, and it's kind
It
of like
is.
it's an abused word, and it's misunderstood as well.
Yeah.
You just think that you can do a detox for a day and whatever. But in
Yeah.
the big picture, if you think about it, 9 out of 10 people, or maybe more, maybe 10 out of 10 at this point, are at some level metabolically dysfunctional in their body,
Hmm.
right, with how their body is moving. And by the way, this includes those people that are in holistic health, in the
Right.
patriot movements, in the freedom movements, in alternative health, et cetera. It's not just mainstream standard
Hmm.
American people. This is everybody,
Right.
because we're in a different war zone here now. The chemicals are crazy, toxins are crazy. So there is no one and done when it comes to detox. Like, that's a lifestyle.
Hmm.
And it doesn't mean that you're never having fun. It doesn't mean that you're never eating those snacks or whatever. It
Yeah.
just means that you're more conscious about being clean with
Right.
food, and also doing more, because if you're only taking in good quality nutrition, that's great, but that's not going to also just flush everything out that's coming in,
Hmm.
right? There's still going to be stuff coming in, even
Yeah.
with clean, organically, optimal organic foods that you're eating. There's still toxins in everything somehow,
Right.
at some scale, nanoscale, whatever. Because I mean, if you just look up in the sky, you'll see it all. So it's very hard. Maybe some things could be purified, but it's very hard to eat totally clean.
Hmm.
But there is foods that are obviously healthy, and that will help more do that. So you can do that, but as you're eating that, you're breathing everything. Your skin's inhaling toxins. Like,
Yeah.
this world is a toxic place. Let's just face it.
Yep.
Intentionally, it shouldn't be that way, but it's intentionally that way because it's weaponized to keep
Hmm.
you down.
Sure.
So, and that's what
Yeah.
it takes. It
We
takes
just
poison to
came
do
out
that.
of that.
Slowly poisons.
Yeah.
Slow poisoning is what it is. That's another weapon against you. That way, no matter how healthy you are, you still need a service of a certain industry at some point. And maybe they can help you, maybe not.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so there, like I say, there's no one and done. You can't dry off in a shower while it's running if you're standing
Hmm.
under the water, right? Like, have you ever tried that?
No, but I know
Yeah,
what
I
it
mean,
would feel like.
try grabbing a dry towel sometime and going in the shower and drying off while you're in there. It's not going
Yeah.
to happen. So it's the same thing with detoxing. You're in a shower at all times, and you can't just dry off once
Hmm.
and expect you to be back to normal, especially if it's been a long time with you not being conscious of the detoxing
Yep.
and eating good and clean. Like, it's not going to be just a 30-day thing. I'm sorry.
No, I know exactly.
It's not.
Yeah.
And anyone who thinks it is kidding themselves. Like, look
Yeah.
how long it took to get to this level.
Exactly.
Things take time to reverse.
And I
And
think,
sometimes people
yeah.
get it quick. Sometimes people get it quick. Like, no matter what, when you start something good, you're going to see like short results pretty quick,
Hmm.
right?
Sure.
But overall, if you do that and just stop, you're going to end up probably most likely back where you were,
Hmm.
unless you kind of
Yeah.
stick with something that really keeps you going. And yeah, I've seen it all, especially in the business I'm in now, because not everybody is like a paying high dollar client.
Right.
I see people come in that just buy, a reboot pack of superfoods, and they'll go through it for 30 days. They'll get pretty good results. And I'm just like, okay, and what is your
Then
next
back to
step?
normal.
And then they go back to normal. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, no offense, but I feel that you just wasted your money in a way.
Yeah.
You
Well,
had a good run.
it's an ongoing, I mean, I feel like once you take the step and you have the awareness to actually realize and understand the importance of what it means to detoxify your body, then you're like, it's never done. I mean, you have to commit to, at least, I mean, I think at least twice a year,
For
you
a
know,
serious one, yeah.
yeah, to
Even
take
like
the
everyday
time.
things too, you can do, just stay on
Hmm.
certain foods that are good at
Yeah,
pulling out
right.
toxins. And
I mean, we can get on to like the green foods and like the chlorella and the spirulina and those things can
yeah,
pull
like
from your
stuff like
body.
that,
Yeah,
like stuff like the ionic element minerals, different things,
sure.
iodine.
Hmm.
Iodine's huge. Most people don't even think about iodine.
Right.
Like, how huge is
So
that in
important.
the body? It's one of
We
the
don't
most
get any
important,
iodine
especially for
almost.
women.
Mm-hmm.
Women are running off doing all these panels and everything. They're not even thinking about iodine.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking about all this other stupid stuff. They're being marketed like devices
Yep.
and whatever else new supplements out there, right? Lab work, hormones,
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
they don't think about iodine. That's one of the most basic nutrients that we're supposed to have. And without it, you can't really combat all the chloramines and fluorides and bromides that are in the environment
Yep.
and all the stuff that we're using.
No,
So that
absolutely.
is one of the chief nutrients for your metabolism,
Yeah. And we don't get it in food anymore. We really
No, it's
don't.
very rare. So it's like a
I was
huge thing.
actually just reading something the other day because they were talking about like sea moss or kelp and these kinds of things that we once thought were really high as a really good source of iodine. But even those, well, two things. One, they're coming out of the ocean that is pretty toxic now. But two, even the level, they're just so low. I mean, you really need to get a good iodine supplement. We just don't get any. And it's one of the required elements that we need.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are definitely foods that have more
Yeah,
a
for
little bit of
sure.
iodine for sure. That's not enough though,
Hmm.
because if you look at how long you've gone without it and also the, just in general, how much fluoride, how much chlorine, how much bromide have you been
Yeah,
exposed to? Oh, and
totally.
by the way, now some of the frequencies in the environment that are used for services are actually running on the same frequency as the uptake of the iodine in your body,
Hmm.
which will impair your iodine function. Most people don't talk about that nor even know that
Yeah.
exists. So that means you need
Well,
more.
yeah. And I think with all of these things, even just using our phone or, being close to different towers, we don't think about that. It's like we think about the things that are in front of our face that most people know about, but we don't think about the other things that can be really destructive to our health, you know? So all of those things matter. And I think for most people who are coming into the space at later years, like, even if you're in your mid 30s and you're coming in, you've spent your life eating, a standard American diet, and then all of a sudden you want to start incorporating more whole foods, it's like there's going to be some time for the body to even start to think about detoxification after 35 years of eating like that. It
Mhm.
doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey
Mhm. Yeah,
that
exactly.
never ends.
Yeah, it doesn't end because you're in a
And it
soup.
won't end because our environment's only getting worse. It's not getting better.
Yeah, and even if the environment wasn't so poison, I mean, that is the body's. I mean, we have basic metabolic waste anyways, naturally,
Right.
right? From
Yeah.
working out or eating or whatever.
Yeah.
And the body's goal is basically taking in nutrition,
Hmm.
information for the cells in the body, and expelling anything that the body doesn't want or need,
Hmm.
whether it's toxic or not, or just overflow.
Yep.
And that's sending out different information in the body. So we're basically just a big information transmuter,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
Whether that's chemicals, toxins, foods coming in, that's all our choice.
So for you, like, what's your advice for someone who wants to do some kind of a detox? Like how often, what's
It
the
kind of
duration?
depends on their situation, really. But I
Right.
mean, overall, I mean, everyone can use rebooting of the gut, the
Hmm.
intestinal tract, right? The first
Right.
brain, not the second, the first.
Hmm.
It's where you're attached to your mom,
Yeah.
the
Right.
cord. It's right there.
Hmm.
That's why that area is under such big attack, right? It's also the
Yeah.
center of that third chakra, right?
Yeah.
Which is all about self-expression,
Hmm.
self-identity, your
Yeah.
relationship with yourself. How many people are good at that these days? Not that many.
Not many.
That goes back to that gut region. So I definitely like to get people kicked off with that, even during an exercise program, whatever. And then it depends. Like fasting's great, greens are great, dry fasting's great, but before you start doing crazy stuff like that, it's a good idea to work into it slowly, or your
Of
body's going to react
course.
crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure. And it takes a while. I mean, most people don't, it could take a while to recolonize that gut bacteria. It could take 6 months to a year.
Hmm.
And it probably will, especially because everything around has gut toxins in it intentionally to poison
Yeah.
you, right? And to get
Yeah.
an overgrowth of bacteria and fungus and parasites and whatever else is in there these
Hmm.
days.
Yeah.
And you'll take a round of antibiotics, and I mean, most people don't know this one either, or even care, but it takes at least 6 months to recover from one round of that fully.
Sure. Yep.
And that's
Yeah. And
assuming that
most
you're not
people
sick.
don't do one round. I mean, in a lifetime, it's like
Most people
they've
do
done
more than one round,
multiple
and it never
rounds.
takes six
Yeah.
months to rebuild their health ever. They might take a month here and there. It takes
Yeah.
longer. you know? And,
But we also live in a society where people want it tomorrow or yesterday. They're not willing to,
right.
stay the course, go through some of maybe like the healing crises that we can go through when we're detoxing.
Mhm.
So it can be, I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
they run away from that. They think that's like a side effect. Like, oh my
yeah,
God, I
exactly. I
felt
tried
sick.
that detox and I got like a massive headache and nausea for 5 days. So it must be whatever that was. It's hard for
Yeah,
a
and it's
lot
a
of
good
people.
idea to back off a little bit when you feel stuff like that, but you don't quit.
No, you don't
Back
quit.
off.
And also there's an element too of like self-acknowledgement and realizing like I think sometimes it's hard to take responsibility for the actions that we've taken in our past because rather than looking at it as a way to learn and grow, people don't like the fingers pointed at them a lot of times. So they'll just project back onto everybody else a lot of times. So it prevents them from moving forward in detoxification, in the holistic space, all of that, because
Mhm.
it's not easy. It takes a commitment. It also takes a complete lifestyle change. I mean, the lifestyle that you had getting you up to the point where you're 35 and diabetic is going to have to die, and you're going to have to move into a different lifestyle, which is hard
Mhm.
for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's the toughest thing. It's never really about the price or
Mm-hmm.
what it actually is. It's just them facing themselves.
Yeah.
People are just scared of themselves at the end of the day. They're running from themselves. That's what I've seen, whether it's dating or business,
Yeah.
anything. It's kind of like people are just scared of themselves progressing a lot of
Yeah.
the time. It's easier to
And there's
just,
also the social aspect of it as
yeah,
well,
there's social
right? Like
aspect.
people have their social circles and
Yep.
kind of stepping out of that. Like, how important do you think that is? Like, creating I guess sometimes it just happens organically, but not always, where you're moving through, you're stepping into the space, things are getting better. Maybe you're making better financial decisions, you're choosing better food, you're getting to the gym, yoga, whatever it happens, but you've still got these people that are implementing self-destructive habits.
Mhm.
And that can also be really hard for people. Like, how important do you feel like it is to really kind of, for lack of a better word, I mean, just let that go so that you can move into the new for the sake of your health and well-being?
Yeah, well, you have to, or else you'll get drugged back
Hmm.
in. And
Yeah.
that's always a test for you too. Like, are you going to
Hmm.
stick with it and go for the goals and the results that you said that you wanted? Or are you
Right.
going to let others just suck you back into where you were
Right.
once you start getting progress? I've seen that tons of times. It's a constant thing. It's a battle, and it's the same thing in business, in
Right.
finances. That too, you start doing better for yourself. You start earning extra good money or better money and whatever. Like, oh, don't you think it's stupid that you're doing this business? Shouldn't you just come back to this job and you could just make money doing this the whole time? And people start calling you weird and think you're,
Right.
slime ball because you're
Hmm.
trying to earn a living for yourself. Whatever their thing is,
Hmm.
that's a test for you. And it's also a form of the resistance that Stephen Pressfield always talks about. You're familiar with him, right?
No, no, actually, I'm not. What is
The war of
Stephen
art.
Pressfield
War of
talk
art.
about?
He always talks about resistance and how
Oh,
no
okay.
matter what, when you are set and aim to try to accomplish something, there's always going to be something that's going to try to slow you down and take you back from it.
Yeah.
And that could either be a person or a thing or a
Yep.
food, whatever.
Yep.
There's always going to be
That makes
something.
sense.
And, are you able to get through the resistance and keep going? Or is the resistance going to capture you and take you back and
Hmm.
prevent you from doing whatever it is that you claimed that you wanted to do or accomplish? So that's the
Yeah.
resistance. And that's part of it. People are huge resistance.
Yeah.
It's like the
Well, it's
boiling crab.
comfortable.
It's like the boiling crab thing in the pots.
Yeah.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Like the
Yes.
crab, they'll pull the other
Well,
crab back
it's
and escaping.
yeah, and just like being people for the most part don't like no one wants to be uncomfortable, but that's a part of it. It's moving through like on the other side of being that feeling of uncomfortableness is, that feeling of
That's where all the growth is.
potential freedom, sovereignty, all these things that we're talking about, right?
Yeah, you can't really
So,
get to like a level like that without some uncomfort or discomfort. Like it's
right.
just always, I mean, even if you're working out in the gym, I mean, how good does it feel to be sore as hell in the morning?
Yeah, of course.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I just kicked my ass today.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel good to be sore for 2 days.
But I feel like also too, it's a requirement of evolving. Evolution
It is.
requires being uncomfortable,
Yeah, you can't
and
do it
we
without it.
don't we don't grow and we don't evolve in our soul through the good times, unfortunately. I mean, those are great to have, and we want to have, joy and happiness and love in our life, but oftentimes those don't provide us the experiences for actual growth. That makes sense.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
sense. It makes sense,
Yeah.
but
It
they
makes
don't
sense.
provide that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've stayed in the comfort zone a long time. So like I can talk about this easy now because I've done that for so long.
Yeah.
Staying in the same place or stayed in the same like income thing, for so long, even though I wanted to leave, I wanted to quit, I wanted to do something else. And like, I wasn't really progressing.
Did you find though, when you actually started, like, even though there's a feeling of fear of moving into a different space in so many different aspects, do you feel that through those moments of feeling uncomfortable, like, was it just something that happened for you, or did that happen over time, like many uncomfortable moments to get you into the space? Or was it just kind of a decision that you made, like, I'm doing it and that's it, and you kind of wiped your hands and moved forward?
No, it took a long time for me to take action on it.
Uh-huh.
I had a whole mind thing going on with me, running through all these possibilities and like, does it really matter?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started looking at things on the exterior instead of just facing myself. Like, okay, well, the world's corrupt. The world sucks. Society sucks. People suck.
Yeah.
Like everything but me was the issue. You know what I mean?
Right.
I went through that stage and that costed me a couple years. And then finally I just said, okay, well, something's got to go. So I just kind of moved locations and I just tried different things. And things got a little worse as far as like income. Like, I got more
they often
debt.
do.
Things got worse for a little bit, but at the end of the day, things kind of circled back to where I'm supposed to be for now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel way better. Have more money than I had then. And,
Yeah.
I'm still working through this, comforts that I need to get rid of too in my life now.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I know they're an easy decision.
Yeah. It's just actually working
it's
through
just doing
them.
it. It's just doing it.
Yeah.
It's just doing it. That's it. So that's the same with the business and any detox thing or health or rebooting, and also living situations, relationship situations, all that. I'm to the point now, I'm just so sick. So now that I've been doing, I talk to a lot of people now, especially that I work closely, with Troy. Like I talk to so many people about health and fitness, and not everybody's a potential client or customer, but a lot of them are. So I talk to them, our business potentials, and I'm so to the point to where I don't want to hear all the small talk and all the nonsense, all the excuses. And it's not them personally. It's just because I know that I did that shit so much.
Yeah.
It pisses me off. It's like, fuck, these people can't see it yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I did that stuff to other people. I was on the other end of that call,
talking on the other end of it,
and other people telling them, "Oh no, I can't do it yet," and I had every excuse as to why. Or I would pull up some fact, and it was actually an intelligent fact as to why I couldn't do something to like prove my case. But it really is just me hiding. It was me hiding and me just finding an excuse out of it. And I've seen that so much in the business.
And I guess
marketing.
When people show up now and do that, it's just kind of like a reminder of your old self, how you were. Yeah. And then, but they can't see actually if they just took the step, what would happen,
Right. Yeah. And something, a crisis or something might have to happen for that to, go down or whatever. And usually that's the case. Usually people wait for that,
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's it about detox, but it does feel good to get people on programs, and myself. I do my own different types of programs, and it's just so cool to have a business that I'm in now that like I have detox as a part of it. Mm-hmm. It's not just that; it's also a lifestyle. It's also performance. It's everything. Mm-hmm. There's the entrepreneurship opportunity there for more money if that's what you choose to do whatever you want. You say that you want for you and your family if you have family, whoever else is important to you. So all that stuff comes together. So I love like the way I earn money now.
Yeah.
I mean, I have kind of a freedom lifestyle. I'm not earning a ton of money, but it's enough for me to do whatever I want with.
Right.
It's enough for me to go wherever I want.
Yeah.
It's enough for me to eat whatever holistic, organically cool food I can and buy whatever product I want, So like all that is great. And I can do it anywhere. I'm at home.
Yeah.
I'm using these freaking technology devices to better myself and others.
Which is amazing. That's the freedom part of it, right?
Yeah, you have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Most people are destroying themselves on those devices, browsing the internet, getting, dabbling into all these different things. And that's another thing too. Like, are you a dabbler? Because a dabbler is someone that just collects and tries and goes and tests all these different random things, sees all this information here and there. has a little bit of a bunch of different things and can never really be good at anything because they're
Yeah.
dabbling to everything. So then they're scrabbling. So I like to say, like, if you're a dabbler, the dabbling on the internet, the dabbling in business, the dabbling in nutrition, the dabbling in everything, it makes you scrabbled. A dabbler turns into a scrabbler, and a scrabbler is someone that has a scrabbled mind, right? A scrabbled consciousness. So you can't really be centered and focused on one thing. And guess what is the most easiest person or entity to conquer? It's someone that's scrabbled, because they'll side with someone else that's more clear, which is usually your opponent in the war that you're in, whether you know that or not. Yeah. Right? They're more clear, they're more centered, and they're not dabbling. They have a fucking perfect, straight, they know what their intention is. Yeah. They're not scared to talk about it. They're coming at you, and you're scrabbled, and it's easier for you to cave into them. This is basic stuff. If you just look at any conversation, sales conversations, the people that are all like confused, like they usually end up buying a lot of the time.
It's true.
By someone that's really well-intentioned and like focused. Unless the other person's dabbling too, then it doesn't matter. Two dabblers, it's going to go nowhere. But the actual non-dabbler that's centered and focused is going to get the job done and take over. Right. And that's the programming that you're up against on the internet.
So in the space of, for you working with a company that, provides organic superfood nutrition and, how important, well, I guess I was going to say the importance of having a company that has integrity and because there's so many products out in the space right now that claim to be something that they're not. And it's like, it is almost impossible to really do what it takes. You can go on Amazon now and buy pretty much anything, and it's at your door by 3:00 that afternoon. So how important is it to really, if you're going to create some kind of financial income in the holistic space through holistic products, the integrity of those products and what that means?
Well, it depends on the person. If you care, if you actually care about being holistic,
assuming they care.
Yeah, assuming you care. It means everything.
Right.
Because we'll just use the company I'm with for an example. Like the owners are awesome.
Yeah.
It's a smaller community. They haven't sold out to a big corporation and watered down their products and put cheap stuff in. And they create a business opportunity that not many companies do. So there's all kinds of high quality, good products out there, right? And you can be an affiliate with those companies and earn 10% here and there. Right. But how many people are really going to buy something through your code? Just yours. Not that many, most likely, unless you're really a celebrity or somebody big, and you're marketing constantly all year. Then you're going to get more clicks and everything. But if you're a normal person that wants a cheap entry into a business, this is way different because that business opportunity for the network marketing model is there. That also brings on more collaboration instead of a ton of competition. And then you are not working for the company. You're actually working for yourself.
Right. You create your own business within that
product that you like, whatever product that is, and that you can stand behind. And it might not be the only thing you recommend. It's not the only thing I recommend, but it's a good one. And it also builds a business for me. And it also gets people results. Right. And anybody can do the business. You don't have to be a holistic practitioner. You could be a normal everyday person.
Right.
Because all you got to do is share what you're doing. And as long as that product is there, as long as you have, first of all, if you're thinking about being sovereign or if you have any type of freedom mindset and you're still running to big corporations all the time because they're cheaper or they deliver faster, and you're not supporting those that are doing stuff with integrity and quality and working their ass off to get you a product, and you're supporting the big boy instead, you're not even close to being a freedom-minded person. Right. Let me just be clear about that right now.
Yeah.
Even if it costs more, it's so important. It's so important to support those type of people. Not even just the company we're with. It doesn't matter what the company is. If they're really good, if they're doing it right, and they're smaller, you got to support them. Because imagine when everybody's gone except for the big company, the big boy, the big corporation, which is what they want. Do you think they're really going to be cheaper in the end?
Yeah, no.
Do you think that they're really going to always let you order if you don't agree with everything they tell you to agree with? No.
Yeah.
Right? And they're also destroying the planet more than anybody. Or whatever.
And we also know too that, the bigger companies get oftentimes, then the cheaper the product becomes, the more the said ingredient that might be in the product is either diluted or, somehow there's fillers in it. I mean,
Well,
there's
two things to
corners
that.
cut all over
Okay,
the place.
there's that too. There's a cheap part.
Yeah.
There's also, the more a product is marketed on a big scale, the chances are that that product is very low quality because a lot of their budget is going to marketing.
Into marketing. Sure.
If you look at the business we're in, the network marketing entrepreneurship business,
yeah,
instead of all that marketing and all that, it's pumped into the product, it's pumped into the brand partners that are paid out different bonuses, different commissions, etc. They're not running ads everywhere in your face. They're not paying all these big podcasts, these top dollars to be hosted and mentioned on their podcasts.
Right.
They're not running ads everywhere. That marketing's huge. Right. And that'll bring me into my next topic here, because as a small business owner or an entrepreneur, we're up against billions, trillions of dollars in corporate money, right? That all have some of the top and best mind programmers, scientists, AI algorithms, etc., that the world has ever seen, the most powerful ones the world's ever seen yet. And they're working for them and against you to ensure that your small business or your entrepreneurship endeavor sees 0 cents. Because they want you to go out of business and they want you to be a part of them, get assimilated into them, or disappear physically from this place and get the hell out of the way. So that just means, so the whole point of me saying this is that just means you have to be even more vigilant. It doesn't mean you're never going to compete with advertising with the corporation. It's impossible. There's so many different things they can do. They own the platforms that you're advertising on. So the only thing you can really do is be consistent with what you're doing and build real connections and real relationships with people that will want to buy from you for whatever your service is, or trade with you. I mean, same thing, essentially. If you're not doing that, you will be screwed, because you're, like I already said, what you're competing with. It's not. There is no chance of winning. You'll lose that game. It's rigged against you. So the only way is to really do it is the real relationships, the real connections, and just be authentic. So what I do is I have 3 things, 3 simplicity essentials to business. Would you like to hear them?
I would love to hear them.
Okay, good. So one is sharing.
One is what? Say that again.
The first one's sharing.
Sharing. Okay.
Yeah. So it's sharing whatever it is that I'm doing, whatever it is I have to offer, not like a sales thing, like where you're out there, oh, buy this from me. It's just literally I'm sharing what I'm doing.
Okay.
Right? And if people ask me questions, I share information that I've come across, whatever. So sharing opportunity, sharing product, sharing information, all that kind of stuff. That's number 1. If you don't do that, you're out of business. Right?
Right. Okay.
Number 2, the duality of caring. So there's a yin-yang approach to this thing here.
Okay.
You have to care about everybody at the beginning, right? You kind of care. You meet somebody, you care about them. If somebody says yes to you, you care. You nurture them, you take care of them, you service them, whatever your product is, whatever your service is. Or if they're saying yes to you in a relationship, you be cool with them, whatever. And you care, you like it. They say no to you, you don't care. You have to not care at the same time. Because if you care too much, they're going to say no to you, it's going to piss you off. And then it starts competition. And then it brings in a whole new energetic force of people saying no. Right? And if you really believe and like what you do, if you're really, into what you're doing and what you have to offer, you won't care when people turn you down.
Right. You're not going to take it personally. Yeah.
So you care and you don't care. So whenever I present the business opportunity for network marketing or a product or my service for coaching, and they don't say, yeah, I don't really care. And I actually don't care if they say yes when I'm telling them. I'm just presenting them what they have available to them.
You're not attached to their...
I'm not attached. I'm not attached. I'm not attached to their
non-attachment. Yeah.
Would I like for them to say yes, so I could get some money and also help them? For sure.
Sure.
I'm not going to sit there and convince them to do that. Like they're going to either want it or they're not.
Yeah.
So maybe, or a no for now. Cool. We'll come back later on. But I'm not attached to it. So there's the duality of caring, the care and not care. The third one's the best one of all. And that is to never be inauthentic or bullshit anyone about what you have to offer. Because that's where people
I love that one.
And that's the whole thing that has people so resistant to, one, network marketing in general as a profession. Yeah. And also to entrepreneurship in general and supporting small businesses. They have no problem with a corporation cramming billions and trillions of dollars down their throat in advertising and programming, and they'll go pay them, no problem. But if somebody they know or somebody smaller that they meet has the possibility of earning a couple of cents or a couple of dollars off of something that they recommend to them, it becomes some type of huge pushback, right?
Yep.
And a lot of that is from the ways that that has been communicated inauthentically. The people that are selling aren't doing it out of a place of authenticity. They're doing it out of a place of trying to earn a dollar.
Right.
Which is respectable. Everybody needs to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still not there. That's why there's such the resistance. And here's the thing. The commercials, these companies that are advertising everybody, they're actually being fully 100% authentic doing it.
Right.
They're not sidewindy, right?
That's true.
They're not. They're straight up. It's bullshit, but they're straight up. And that's why they always win. And that's what people don't get.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The authenticity piece.
So here's what I was saying during the whole pandemic thing too. Like, you can hate all these people that were, in charge, or the corporations and all that, but they're actually very transparent and direct and organized and focused and authentic in what their actual message is to you.
Right.
It's just up to you to be able to see it and say no.
Yeah. You have to be able to read between the lines.
And if you don't, then whatever, that's your fault. You can't blame them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
After
true.
Once you've learned and you still do it, you cannot blame them ever again.
Right.
So that's number 3 for the 3 simplicity essentials of business is no inauthenticity, no bullshitting. Yeah. You just, whatever. This is how it works. They have questions. Yeah, this is how it works. Like, you're going to have to work a little bit if you want to earn money. It's probably going to take you more than a year to build a solid business.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it would with any business. I mean,
well, here's another thing about that. Yeah. So here's another part to this is you have to be patient with yourself in business and entrepreneurship. That's all another part of holistic living.
Yes,
because
patience.
One, you don't have the money power to put yourself out there like a corporation does, right? Obviously, some people do, but it's going to run out. You have to keep up with it. Mm-hmm. 2, most people that enter entrepreneurship and business for themselves, this is going to sound kind of mean, but they don't really have any business skills at first, right? You learn them as you go.
Yep.
Another thing is not everybody, but most actually don't have any skills at all that start these businesses for themselves. So that could be seen as a bold statement, but they don't. Yeah, and I know because I've worked with so many people. And when I say skills at all, I mean skills such as communication. Being authentic is a skill as well. Patience is a skill. Yep. All of this stuff's a skill. So if you don't have those type of things, you don't have any skills. How are you going to start the business? How are you going to stick with it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't. It's not sustainable.
But you can if you are open and coachable to learning those type of skills and you practice them. That's how you stay in the game. Right. That's why so many people that start businesses, no matter what it is, quit and they go get a job because they don't have the basic skills of running their own business. They're not that dedicated. They're not that organized, right? They get distracted easily. They get pulled into their friends' outings, whatever it is. Like, you have to be focused. You have to give up something to get something. Yeah. There is no getting.
Well, you have to make sacrifices. There's sacrifices with anything, Yeah,
and it doesn't have to be 100% sacrifice. It could be small percentage.
Of course. Small sacrifice.
But there is sacrifice. Like, it's true. And that people don't even have the skill of that. These are all skills.
No, that is also a skill.
So when I say no skills, like, it's literally, you can be the most freaking brainiac, holistic nutrition person ever and have no skills when it comes to business. Right. Or people. Just because you studied a book doesn't mean anything. No. Go look at people that are PhDs and college grads. You'll see that 90% of the time.
Yeah, well, it's putting all those things actually into practice and using them and, like having the ability to draw on those things and put them to use for whatever it is, happens to be, whether, like you just said, whether it's the financial side, the nutrition, whatever. It's all a skill. It's all a skill set.
And a lot of people don't have them because they never really practiced them. Right. Everything's attainable. Everything, all this stuff is attainable.
But that's also too where the patience piece comes in because people give up like you just said, people give up like, I want it yesterday. They give up. And then that also leads into what you just talked about, being scattered, because it's like they're jumping from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next with no focus, with no discipline, with no patience. And then next thing you know, 10 years has gone by and they have nothing to show for it,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Imagine playing a sport and then you're out there in the battlefield against the team, and you've been practicing 20 different sports in that week.
Yeah.
And they're only practicing the one they're playing against you in. Who's going to win that game?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a no-brainer.
That's what people are doing, So the whole point here. So if you don't have any goals, you don't have any intentions, if you're wandering and dabbling, you're scrabbled, you're going to get shitty results. It's just how it goes. You might get lucky for a little bit, but at the end of the day, you're going to get bad results. So to get good results, you just flip all that to the other side. You have some type of small goal, attainable goal, realistic goal. You have clear intentions on how and what and who can help you get there, and then you don't wander.
Right.
You can do a couple different things, but you got to stay kind of focused. You can't
wander.
You have to
stay focused. You must stay focused.
There's going to be everything to pull you away from it. That's just how it works. And then you might not get immediate results that you want. You might hit half of your goal or whatever, but you're still progressing big time. Think about that.
Yeah.
So all that, it's really simple. And this is another thing that gets people too. We are now in a training field of complexity. We are trained in the education system to make everything complex.
Right.
And confusing. That leads to scatteredness. And the real antidote to that is the simplicity of everything. It's the same thing with this business. Okay, so we have been trained through the education system, through other jobs, through information, the age that we're in, that everything has to be super complex to work,
right,
or that it's only legit if all the scientific complex facts are there, all this stuff. And that's why people are having issues, because they bought into that theory. Really, everything's simple. Everything is simple. Life is pretty simple if you really look at it, right? And so is business.
Yeah.
And the network marketing business is the most simple business I've ever seen. But it's so simple that the complex people that are programmed that way, which is most society, can't actually grasp it yet.
Right.
Because
and is that why people have such a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to...
That comes to the inauthentic thing too. There is a lot of inauthenticity in network marketing. Right. But they have such a bad taste in it because it's so simple that they can't actually comprehend that it's possible to be successful in it.
Right.
In a simplistic way.
Yeah, for sure. They just can't wrap their head around.
Yeah, it's way more simple. Right. It's way more simple than even starting a different business, like a self-employed venture. Because if you're starting, I tried to start an ice cream brand 5 years ago, and I think I spent $30,000. I never sold a single thing. I didn't even launch. Yeah. I did all this research for 2 years, making product. I did all this money, spent all this money, got some friends involved. And I didn't even launch. Yeah. Just $30,000. There were so many complex moving parts. You know how much I would have had to spend to keep up with the other ice cream brands?
Yeah.
So much. Then that's why the network marketing thing is so different. It's so simple. It's cheap to enter. You're buying product.
Yeah, for sure.
You're getting free freaking teachings that you can go spend $10,000 on a course to learn for the same stuff. I mean, it all works. It's just a matter of where do you want to leverage that from? You're getting a community. You don't have to build a product yourself. So if you like whatever it is you're working with, go with it. Right? And then you brand yourself. You be your authentic self. You be you, and you go out there and offer what you have. And if people say no, who cares? And these businesses actually work the best too. This is another thing that people confuse, is they see a business like this network marketing model as an either or. And it's not. It's an and. Right. So if somebody has another job or an income, they can do this too. Right. In a couple hours a day, if that. It's conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
It's on the side. That's where people get confused, is they think that they're supposed to be earning really quick and replace their job. And it's not the case. It's made as an either or. It's made as an and first. Yep. It can be an either or in the end, but it's not that way. It never.
I think a lot of people who do become successful, it's like they all start out, most people start out with a job, and they do, they do it on the side, and then it grows and it grows until they get to the point where they can let their 9-to-5 job go and then step in fully into that business that they've created over time.
Right. For sure.
But through patience, through discipline, through, authenticity, all these things that you just spoke about, those are going to be requirements to be able to get to that place where you are able to create that for yourself. Yeah, exactly. So like I said before, just you have to be patient and honest with yourself too. Like I'll admit I'm still working on my business skills. I'm still working on basic skills with relationships and people. Yeah. Right? And things change all the time. So it's like, I'm not an expert in any of them, but I try and I'm doing them. So that's how I kind of know and learn them.
So I'm not just saying everybody else sucks and I'm the best. Like I'm still working on all this stuff, right? This is
Yeah,
not
of
a,
course.
this is
Yeah.
not a
I
finished,
mean,
finished product here, because it never is. So the big thing is give yourself time. Society has no business skills, but no skills in general too. So you take the time to grow them all. It's fine. Like, but be honest with yourself. Like, and nobody's grading you. That's another thing too. I've seen a lot in business is people get like scared or embarrassed. They think they're being evaluated or
yeah.
like judged,
Mm-hmm.
like they're not doing well or whatever. Like that's not what's going on here. As long as you're clear about what you want to accomplish or like how much you're going to be giving, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own thing to worry about.
And I also think that kind of ties into the people that you're keeping too, because, someone who is in your space, who's going to support you through whatever it is you're going through and not be one of those people who are the, "Oh, I told you so," or, kind of bring that energy into whatever venture you're happening to, be, putting both feet into at the time, then it's better sometimes just to keep the people around you that that are going to be supportive when you step into something like that, to give you the inspiration, the motivation, and the support that's needed to move forward, rather than the ones who are going to pull you down and suck you back in, to whatever you're trying to step out of, it's really important to create a support group. And that's great too, because you have an amazing support group,
Yeah, and it always grows. And some people, disappear from it and come back.
Of course.
Never,
That's just the nature of it though,
That's life too.
Yeah, it's life.
And the
Of
network marketing
course.
is a relationship business.
Yeah.
Well, like I tell people all the time, if they say it's expensive to spend, I don't know, $400 on a 30-day program, that's most of their food for the month. I'm like, okay, well, would you rather spend $1,200 for the month for me to coach you?
Yeah.
I mean,
but also too, on that note, I mean, how many people have done the math on their daily latte at Starbucks?
Nobody.
I mean, it's right. Like that's just the classic one. I mean, people spend more than that just on a coffee every day. So,
Yep.
Again, it comes down to your priorities. What are your priorities? Having the ability to look, not, of course, we want to stay in the present moment, but where do you want to be 3, 5, 10, 15 years from now? What is your life? What would you like that to look like? And then doing the necessary steps to get there and have the people that are going to support you to get to that place as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all done 1 second at a time anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Rushing. That's the simple part about it. The most simple part about it is it's baby steps no matter what. Like you can't fast forward.
No, you can't. Yeah. One step at a time.
It literally is one step every day. Like you get up, you take one step to the bathroom, then you take the next one, right?
Yeah,
Whatever.
for sure.
So when you look at it like that, so that's the thing, like everything's marketed to be complex. I said that before. And then now you have people like Elon Musk and these guys that are like, oh, the antidote to simplicity is complexity. They're literally doing the opposite of what life is, right? And people are watching that. And since these people are rich and famous, they're believing that. They're being the lie of that whole system. When really, the inverse of that, the simplicity is how you're going to see results.
Yeah.
It's literally how you're going to see results.
So, okay, so this has been amazing. I think this conversation is necessary to have. It's not one that a lot of people think kind of fit into, especially talking about the financial side of things. But again, I just feel like we both alluded to, it is part of the whole. It is part of holistic health, And so that's so amazing what you shared today. You shared some amazing information. And I do have one question that I do ask all of my guests. And so I'd love it if you could answer it for me as well. And the question is, what is your authentic life print? What is your unique expression in the world as Barbero?
I like to consider myself the boogeyman of inauthenticity.
Love it.
So I am there to break that down as much as possible.
Yeah.
Whether that's confronting or not. I try to be as nice as possible doing that, but sometimes it's not so easy. So I seem arrogant or mean, but I just like to call things out how they are and just avoid all that stuff. Like all the chase downs, all the hide and seek, all of the cat and mouse, whether it's in the dating game or business, whatever, my own head games, like I like to just break down those things. So the boogeyman of inauthenticity and bullshit, I've
Wow, I love that.
Attracted people that way, and I've also repelled many that way because people are scared of authenticity
Of
when they're not.
course.
When they're not,
Yeah.
until they become that way, it's scary.
Yeah. And a lot of
So,
people don't, they get uncomfortable being, called out on things too. It's like, it can be kind of rattling for a lot of people, but some people love it, because again, it's that for so many people, calling out someone, something or someone, or that you might feel as being inauthentic, that could be potentially a catalyst for them to actually self-reflect and be like, wow,
really,
I didn't actually think of that until you
yeah,
mentioned it to me. And then it
oh,
can completely change their trajectory,
yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
happened for sure.
That's amazing.
You just can't. It's a tough job because not that many people like you all the time.
Of
But
course.
it's also a good job
Yeah.
because how many people actually call stuff for what it is to everyone? Not
Well,
that many.
not very many people.
They get scared usually.
Yeah.
It is kind of scary sometimes because you don't know how they're going to react, but that's just how it rolls.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that.
So
So
just to
how,
to
if
recap,
people want to find out more about you and like what you're doing, and I don't know if you're doing any coaching right now at all, but where can people find you?
yeah. So if people want to find me as being the boogeyman of inauthenticity and bullshit in the world,
Yeah. If you want to hire Barbero for a
yeah, whether that's for even if you want to,
inauthenticity test.
yeah, if you want one of those tests, I'll run you through it, and of course, I'll be honest about myself too. That's the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether that's for any type of coaching, athletic training, whatever, rehab, corrective, or nutrition, or cleansing, or rebooting, or just lifestyle in general, any type of stuff you got going on, or the entrepreneurship opportunity too with the network
Yeah,
marketing,
absolutely.
superfoods. That's always there. You can always explore that and start building a business there slowly, like we
Yeah.
discussed during this whole thing. So, I have my Instagram. It's Captain Informer. It's
Okay.
just no space, captain, as it says, a captain of a ship, and then
And
informer.
just to interject, I'm going to link all of your contacts below. So in the show notes, I'll put your Instagram and your email address.
Yeah, my email you have, and then my Facebook. I'm on Facebook too. I literally just
Okay.
use these social media platforms to connect with people.
Yeah.
I'm not on there posting and like showboating all day long and all that. So you'll see a blank page for the most part. But
Okay.
I do stories. I do offer some value on there. I do Q&As for those that want to, ask and look at my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not on there too much. I spend a lot of my time off of there.
Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, as long as people know how to get a hold of you and contact you if they're
Right.
interested in any one of those things that we've talked about today, then, they can look in the show notes and I'll provide the email address and they can contact you that way.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. I mean,
Cool.
that's me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I've really appreciated it and really enjoyed talking to you today.
Yeah, it was great. We'll have to do it again at some point in the future.
Yeah, we can. We'll do like a part 2.
Yeah, or just continue on.
Yeah, to be continued.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay. Have a great day and thank you so much.